Here's an interesting thing that happened on my way here. So I was pushing my bike up a hill, because a lot of the time I don't like to cycle up the hills. Well, at least not the very steep ones. So I was pushing my bike up this hill, and I was kind of not really looking where I was going, assuming like the road, it's a straight road. So I was kind of looking down a bit, and then I ended up walking right into a bramble. It wasn't like a stinging nettle or a thistle, it was just like one of those spiky bramble twigs that sticks out of a hedge. And one of the spikes actually poked me right in the eyelid, which was very painful. Well, it wasn't that bad, I suppose. It wasn't anything bad. It didn't like pierce it, it didn't draw blood or anything like that. But like now, I'm kind of noticing that it is actually stinging a little bit. So that was a great way to kind of start off the journey. Yeah, that was very interesting. Luckily, it didn't pierce my eye, so that's a positive silver lining. I got myself a drink because hello guys, welcome to another. Well, it's a podcast, I guess. Yeah, it's a podcast. But this is going to be a special podcast because this is going to be. I don't know if it's actually going to be 3 hours, because there may be certain bits that I may cut out, and it's going to be close to 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours long. I don't know. That reminds me, I should probably check the time. Yeah, it's 25 past 1, so I'll go until about 25 past 4. That works out. Yeah, and this is going to be a long one. I'm very much hoping that the battery doesn't run out before the memory runs out. That could be a problem potentially. But the reason I wanted to do this is not only because I haven't done a podcast in a while. I've called them weekly, and then I switched them to 2 weeks, and then they kind of just got more and more sparse as time went on. So I thought, yeah, let's do another one now, but let's do a long one, because today, I hope that wind isn't a problem. I've tried my very hardest to minimize the wind, but some of it may still get through, I don't know. Anyway, today is August 1st. I mean, it's not actually for me, because I'm obviously recording this before August 1st, so that I can get it out for August 1st. But it's August 1st to you, or it might be past August 1st, I don't know, whenever you're listening to this. And as many of you know, that is the anniversary of the channel. And it's the 3-year anniversary this time. 3 years. 3 years since I started the channel. So, well, again, it's technically not 3 years since I started the channel. It's about 3.5 years. But 3 years since the first proper video I uploaded to the channel, I consider it the anniversary, August 1st. So yeah, I thought I'd do a nice 3-hour long podcast. There's no video this time. And that's because if I had a 3-hour long actual video, then I have no idea how long that would take to upload. I mean, well, I do have some idea, because last year I did do that 3-hour long 2-year celebration video, which was all video, and there was a load of stuff in that. That took round about, I don't know, 5 solid days to upload. So I'm not doing that this time. I'm just going to do a podcast, because they don't take long to actually upload, because they're all audio, and then there's just this static image that you're seeing right now. In fact, maybe I'll actually do a custom static image. I won't just use the same one that I use for every single one. Maybe I'll do a custom one for 3 years. But anyway, what I kind of wanted to talk about today is I wanted to kind of do a bit of a reflection, not only just on this past year, 2017, so far, but I suppose of all 3 years in a way. I've got to stop saying I notice it every time I say it now. I've got a drink, and I should stop drinking it, because I'm going to waste it all in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, I want to do a kind of self-reflection thing, and a lot of this isn't going to be cut, so there may be a few pauses here and there. I may cut some things out if I just think, oh, actually, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to cut that out in editing, so that. Yeah, things like that. Maybe I'll cut that out, where I just completely stopped. And the bike brake is actually jabbing into my back. I'm going to put this here actually to make that a bit more comfortable for me. I'm kind of just sat on my bike. I've kind of like lay my bike down. I put my bag and my jumper on it, and so it's a bit uncomfortable, but you know it'll definitely do. So what was I saying? Yeah. So I want to do a kind of a reflection thing, a kind of self-reflection, a channel reflection thing, and I honestly think this is actually the best time to do it for me personally, because to be honest, in the past 2 or 3 weeks or so, I've honestly kind of just felt a bit lost, like just a bit like I started to question like what exactly am I doing here? What am I doing with this channel? Why am I exactly doing this? And it did honestly get me down. Like, not many things get me down. I'm generally a very positive person, but just like thinking about that and just thinking like, I don't really know what I'm doing with this channel. Like, where is this channel going? What is it heading towards? And so I think this is probably the best time to figure out an answer for that. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to do a bit of a reflection on the channel as it's been this year and maybe a bit before that, and hopefully that will give me a good answer as to what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing right now? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Well, the short answer to that is I'm here because I want to make a special video for the 3-year anniversary. But like, what have I been doing recently? So I suppose I'll just start off by saying like some of the things that I have been doing recently. I won't go back to January and then go through all the months. Or maybe I will do that, I don't know. But as of right now, I'm actually working on a YouTube poop, believe it or not. What? NPCarlsson still makes YouTube poops? Yes, of course I do. I'm actually working on a collab entry for Nation of Orange's Pixar collab. I don't know if I don't think I told it. I don't think I've even told him that. But I'm hoping that I'll get that done. The deadline is August 5th. So hopefully by the time you're watching this, I'll have actually got that finished, or I'm very close to getting that finished so that I can get it finished for the deadline. But that's been fun. It's been good to work on a YouTube poop again. Like I've said this before, like when I don't do YouTube poops for a while and I do some other stuff, yes, the other stuff is fun, but it's fun in different ways. And when I actually get back into making a YouTube poop, it suddenly all clicks. Like, oh yeah, this is why YouTube poops are fun. This is why I love doing them. And so this collab entry has been fun. It's been fun so far. I haven't done much of it. I've done all the audio stuff, which has actually, in this case, been a bit more complicated because, well, I don't want to reveal much, but actually the audio for this video is kind of, it's been interesting because, well, I suppose I will just give away this kind of thing. Like, this collab entry has absolutely no sentence mixing whatsoever. There's no sentence mixing in it whatsoever. In fact, there's only about 1, maybe 2 words actually spoken. And that may give you a slight little hint about what I'm actually using as the source. It's Pixar, and there's barely any voices. That may be a big enough hint for you to figure out what film it is. So yeah, that's been fun. So I'm just working on the visual stuff now, because a lot of it is visual gags, and that's something that's you know, it's not something I'm unfamiliar with. Like, I do a lot of visual gags, but a lot of the time the visual gags kind of come later after I've got the basic ideas and the audio done. So it's been interesting. I've had to kind of think of the visual gags first and think, okay, what can I do with this? How can I turn this into a visual thing? And then what's been interesting is then I've gone and go through the audio, and then because you know how I work through videos, I do the audio, then I do the visuals. And so doing the audio, knowing that they're all visual gags, has been kind of complicated, because I've just got to think, okay, this sound needs to represent this, because this is what's going to be on the screen, as opposed to me just doing some sentence mixing and then thinking of the visuals afterwards, like cutting out a character, different mouth movements, and then just piecing it together like that. And as soon as that's done, I don't know when that will be done. Hopefully it'll be done around the time you're watching this, so that I can get it done for the deadline. If not, I may ask Nation of Oranges if I could possibly have a little bit of an extension. I don't know if he'll let me. But if not, then I guess I'll just upload that. I'll upload that. I guess I'll upload that as a standalone video. But then once that's done, then I want to get back to working on the Crash Bandicoot Original Trilogy review parody video, which I wish I could tell you more about. I really want to talk about it, but I just don't want to reveal it. As far as I know, there is only 3 other people in the entire world who know what this video actually entails. So I want to keep it that way, and I want it to be a big surprise, because it's a very I will say it's probably one of the most unique videos that I've made. Well, I don't know, maybe not, because it does have a lot of elements from things that I've already done. And to be honest, those kind of videos are the videos that I really love doing. Like, as you know, recently we played the Insane trilogy. We played Crash Bandicoot 1, and we will, you know, play more of that. Hopefully we'll do a little short episode sometime soon for the Stormy Ascent DLC, because I do want to play that. That's going to be fun. That's going to probably make for an interesting video. And we'll also do the one level that I haven't actually played yet in Crash Bandicoot 1, which is Fumbling in the Dark, which I hadn't unlocked until recently. So, but like things like that, that's been really fun, because it's nice to do like a big combination of stuff. Like, obviously there was the Let's Play commentary side of it, and you know, it is just fun playing through the games, and you know, me and Jen, we just kind of just talk rubbish and, you know, make stupid jokes and do stupid things in the game. And, you know, that's all fun in itself. But then I then go through and then I edit that, and then I pick out the best bits, because we usually just like record for hours, and then I condense it down, and I like think, okay, these are the best bits. The rest of it, yeah, it can go in the bin. It doesn't matter. So it's fun going through and like figuring out which bits to keep. But then I add the extra editing on top of that, and do like the zoom ins and add things on the screen and the sound effects and things like that. And that's all fun. And then I add the more unique sections where I actually then go through the game and actually record stuff specifically for little small skits that I want to put in the video, like the thing with Coco getting a phone call from Cortex, or the bit when they were Crash and Coco were in the dark and Crash walks off the ledge, and things like that. Those are fun things to add into the video. But then there's also like the musical side of it, where I've done some kind of YTP MVs in there. Most notably the Shape of You one, which I used Crash's Woe, and then kind of used Crash Bandicoot sounding instruments to recreate that song as a way of displaying how many times I died on Slippery Climb. And it's fun doing like a big combination of stuff like that and putting them all in one video, because you know I know that a lot of you think that the YouTube poops, they're the best things on the channel. Everything else, you know, it's okay, or maybe you don't like it, but chances are you're probably going to think that YouTube poops are the you know, they're the pinnacle of NPCarlsson. They're what I'm, you know, known outside of my channel for. Occasionally, like when I comment on something on someone else's video, then there may be somebody there who knows who I am, and they'll say, hey, I love your YTPs. Nobody ever says like, I love your gaming videos, or I love your music, or anything like that. The YTPs are the main article of the channel. You know, they're the definitive thing of NPCarlsson. And you know, they're great fun. Like I've said before, like I never want to stop them, because they are great fun, and they're such a great outlet for not only just like my creativity, but for like things that I want to make videos about, like films that I love, or TV shows, or YouTube videos and things like that. But it's a great outlet for editing. When I don't have anything to edit, then you can just go in and make a YouTube poop and do whatever you want. But to be honest, I actually find the other videos, well, not all the other videos, But the videos that like combine a load of stuff, those are the most fun things to work on. The things where I can combine, you know, some of the gaming stuff, some of my own voice stuff, and some music stuff, and I can combine that with YouTube Poop style video editing and little skits put in there. Those are the most fun things to work on because I can do all of that in one video. And that's why it's been really fun working on the Insane Trilogy videos, because I've been able to do a big combination thing. And for this Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy thing, it's probably even more than that, because no, not this. I said Insane Trilogy, didn't I? For this Crash Bandicoot Original Trilogy review parody video thing, I've been able to do a lot more of that because I've been able to implement some animation stuff in there and some stuff that I've actually gone out and filmed with my camera, and I can incorporate that all together in one video, and that's what's made it really, really fun to work on this video. It is a shame that I couldn't get it out before the Insane Trilogy, because I think it would have had a much better impact if it was out before the Insane Trilogy, because, you know, talking about the quote-unquote problems of Crash 1, 2 and 3 is kind of a bit nullified when you've got a remake that may fix some of those problems. But you know, ultimately, I've said it doesn't really matter. I still think it's going to be a good video, and I still want to get it out. I have taken about a month and a half break from it, but I want to get back into it, and I really hope that you guys are going to like it. I'm hoping that will actually come out this month. Hopefully, cause, yeah, I've said, oh God, how many times have I said hopefully? Because I think, yeah, once I've got the collab video done, then I'm going to go straight into that, and hopefully that won't take too long, maybe a couple weeks at max, to actually knuckle down and finish. All right, yeah, I was just checking that there's nobody around. So yeah, that's all been fun. That's all good stuff to look forward to for the future. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. It's my bottle. Okay, so now I guess we'll go through. Well, I guess we'll just, you know, start 2017 and say what I've done this year. Because in terms of like the sheer amount, I have done so much more this year than I have in any previous years that I've done this channel. 2017 has probably more videos than 2014 and 2015 combined so far. Well, actually, that's probably not true, but it's quite a lot. It's a big amount. So where did we start? I don't know where. Well, we started with a vlog, I think, just saying like some of the things I got for Christmas. But I guess one of the main things we started was with the Madagascar YTP, which I had been talking about for a while, and that was really fun because it was nice to do a YouTube poop where I didn't have to focus that much on any kind of story. It was a very kind of, you know, I think I've said this multiple times before, but like, I kind of think of like Ripto's Races and Crustacean Resurrection Redemption, and most definitely Mash Bandicoot, as, you know, being like somewhat story-oriented and having jokes built around that. But then you've got videos like Five Nights at Foster's, which is just randomness all the way through. There's no relevance of the story apart from maybe the last 2 minutes, which is you know, supposed to lead on to Mash Bandicoot, obviously. So it's been nice to. It was definitely nice to work on a video where I wasn't in any way worried about any kind of consistent story or anything like that, and I did that with the Madagascar video. And you know, I kind of just had this idea of like, if I can think of a joke, then I'm just going to put it in. I'm not going to think twice about it. I'm not going to go through and think, maybe that joke isn't as funny as I thought it was, or maybe it would work better with this scene. I just did whatever for that video, and I think it worked out really well. It definitely worked out for the best. And I've honestly got some comments, people saying that was the best YouTube poop they've ever seen, and I was like, what, really? Like, I didn't even give that one that much thought. In some ways, I guess that might have made the humor a bit better, because it wasn't too in-depth. It was just kind of off the wall, quick jokes that didn't make much sense. They weren't really built upon. In fact, I think the best example of that in that video was the scene with all the lemurs in the airplane when King Julian's talking about his plan to have the New York Giants, fight off the Fusa and stuff like that. And I think that scene that was one of the more fun scenes to do, because I literally just got the audio and I had like no plans whatsoever. I just thought, I'm going to just take this scene, I'll just load it into Audacity and I'll just mess about with it and do whatever. And then I just did that, and then the final result is exactly what I got. I just made that audio and I thought, okay, that's it, that's done. I'm not going back and changing that. And then when I put that together with the visuals, and I just thought, yeah, I'm happy with that, that's good to go. And that's one of my favorite scenes in the actual entire YTP. Because it's just fun, stupid sentence mixing with... I think there were a couple visual jokes in there. There was the thing about like when Julian said, does anyone else have a cookie? And then one of the lemurs puts his hand up, and I thought, hey, you know what would be funny if I put him holding a cookie and him lifting a cookie up into the air, like to say, look, I've got one, kind of thing. That was a late installment, but all the other things were just, I just did them once through and thought, that's it, I'm not going back and changing that. And I think that kind of mentality really works for videos like that, at least for some parts of the videos. Like there were a lot of things like definitely the acid trip scene, in which I kind of thought about more. That was without a doubt the most editing I've done. The most editing I did in the entire video was in that one scene, because it was very complicated and it kept crashing the editor because of how complicated it was. But I did like thoroughly think that out, think what I want to include, how I want to piece it together, like what I want the audio to be like. That was the most in-depth I thought about a scene for the Madagascar YTP. All the others were just kind of, on the fly. I did kind of go through and just add jokes where I thought of them. But that scene, I thought, I think it would work really well if the rest of the video is like this, and then you just have this one scene which is just a massive overload of editing. And I really like that. I always look back on that and I think that was a good move. That was a good decision to make, to have this kind of, decently edited video most of the way through, and then you just got this one scene which is just bonkers. I just thought that really worked, and a load of people said that was the best part of the entire YTP. And it was really fun to do. So then what did we do after that? We had a couple of... we played Lego Star Wars. That was another thing we did this year. We played through episode 4. I forget what the Roman numerals is. It's like IV, LV, whatever. No, not L. L is different. IV. Is it I? I think it's I. IV is 4, V is 5, and then VI is 6. That's how it goes. I don't get Roman numerals. But yeah, we played through episode 4 of the Lego Star Wars, the original trilogy. So many things are called the original trilogy. So yeah, that was fun. That was probably like the first proper thing like we did gaming with me and Jen, and that kind of led on to obviously us playing the Insane trilogy, and I really liked editing that. That was really fun. I think maybe I went a bit too far with some of the edits in those videos. I don't know. Maybe I'll dial it back a little bit when we eventually. Oh, hello, Mr. B. Oh, do you mind not landing on my leg? Yeah. I think when we do go back to Lego Star Wars, which we will eventually. I mean, I don't know when. Get lost, B. Stop landing on my leg. Because we will go back to Lego Star Wars at some point. I don't know when, because Jen's working a lot now. There isn't much free time. There's the summer holidays. I don't know when we're actually going to have much time to record another gameplay session. But we probably will go back to Lego Star Wars and then do episode 5. And I think when we do that, that's I'll kind of keep it to a similar level of editing as the Insane trilogy. And I could do that like really consistently, like because I was thinking about this when I was actually editing it, like when I was working on the Insane trilogy videos, because we record the audio, record the gameplay, and some of the footage messed up a bit, but it didn't take that long to just put it all together in one thing and then go through and pick out the best bits. And then for each part was about, I guess it was about an hour's worth of footage condensed down to about 11 minutes. And going through and then choosing those bits to make up the video, and then doing the extra editing on top, and then finalizing the video took about 3 days, and each one took 3 days to do. And it made it so that I could get a new episode out every 3 days. The last one took a bit longer because the audio was a bit messed up, and I kind of had to go through and change some things. But I was thinking, like, if in some other parallel universe NPCarlsson was just a Let's Play channel, then I think I could honestly consistently get a video out every 3 days. I think that level of editing, I can manage that in 3 days' time. And if I kept doing that, I could keep doing it at a consistent rate. And I just thought that was an interesting thing to think of. That, like, if this was just gaming, then I could get a video out every 3 days or every 4 days or whatever. I could do it consistently. I mean, obviously you need to allow the time to actually record the game and the audio and stuff, and that takes like half a day to do anyway. But it worked, and I really liked that. And so yeah, we'll go back to Lego Star Wars someday. I don't know, sometime later this year maybe. I don't know, maybe not until next year, who knows. I really hope that wind isn't bothering you. I don't think it's picking up the wind very much. I'm just checking that's still, yeah, that. I just had to check that the microphone was still on, because I took one earphone out because I thought maybe it would be best to have a clear listen in case anyone's walking by, just in case. But then I was like, actually, wait, is the microphone still on? So I put the earphone back in. Yeah, it's definitely still on. I can notice it when I got both earphones in, because I can hear my voice. It's ever so slightly delayed from actually coming out of my mouth, so I can tell that the microphone is definitely still working. I will just have a look at it. 29 minutes? Yeah. Or just about 30. We've been recording about half an hour. So... Gosh, I've nearly finished this water. I should stop drinking that. So, then what else happened? There was some other stuff earlier on in the year. I guess there was just some small things here and there. I definitely picked up the rate of the podcast, I think, earlier on in the year, and then they kind of dialed down a bit as the year went on. But then we had... we had round 3 of the tennis between me and Jimmy Davis. That was good. I really liked that. I really liked that round, doing that. I said this before, but like, because like I did round 1, and then because like round 1 you don't really have to do that much. It's basically just a normal YouTube poop. You don't have to, you don't have to go out and do. What am I trying to say? It's not really part. It's kind of like the foundation is being set, and that is in essence an important part of tennis. But it's only when it gets to the second round onwards that's when the actual tennis match properly begins. And so Jimmy had the task of taking a YouTube poop and then turning that into another YouTube poop. So he was the first one to do that. But then when it came to round 3, and I was like, okay, this time it's my turn, and now I've got to take what he's done and a little bit of what I did originally and make a new round out of that. And I do honestly think that round 3 is way, way, way better than round 1. Like, I look back at round 1 and I think you know, it's a good. It was a decent enough foundation, and there were a few jokes I put in there that were specifically made to be expanded upon, like I think, like I said, the what was in those cheeseburgers thing. That was a joke that I specifically put in there because I thought, you know, that's something that you can change every round, and we have done that so far. But I definitely think that round 3 is much better than round 1. Round 1 is just kind of a very basic YTP. It's not even that good compared to some of my other shorter YTPs. But then when Jimmy did round 2, he did an amazing job of turning that into a really good second round, a really good YTP in general. And I think he said that that's actually one of his favourite YouTube poops that he's ever made. And then when I did round 3, I thought, I've really got to up my game for this. I've got to make this as good as I possibly can. And I think I did that. You know, I wouldn't be able to say, you know, I wouldn't be able to say objectively anyway which I think is better, round 2 or round 3. Some people think that round 2 is still better. Some people think round 3 is better. But I think we can all agree that round 3 is better than round 1. So that was really fun. I'm just like trying to go through the video, trying to think more in depth about what I actually did to some of that. Because it was strange, like, because like I watched through round 2 a number of times and thought, okay, I definitely want to use this in the video. I want to change this into something. Like, I knew that when he did the happy song, I knew, okay, I've definitely got to do that. I've definitely got to expand upon that, and I think I managed to do that with the Jewish thing. And I think that definitely worked out well. And then, like, because when Jimmy did round 2, he added all this stuff with, you know, the thing that he does in some of his videos where he has himself in, like, a house and at a computer, and then people come through the door and things like that. You know, he like did it with, like, I Am Mean, and he did it with Woody, and he's done it with other things. And so I thought, okay, well, I need to, like, have something lead into that. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll have it so that, like, NPCarlsson will go to Jimmy's house and say, you know, and, you know, because, like, in round 2 he went to his house and he was like, here, I've done round 1, now it's your job. And so I thought, okay, well, round 3 we'll have Jimmy finish round 2 and then, you know, throw it back at me and, like, say, okay, well, now it's, you know, it's your turn, you go do round 3. So I liked doing that little intro bit, and that was fun to animate together. And it was interesting because, like, I only had Jimmy's videos to work with in that. So I had to kind of take Jimmy's videos and make a cutout of Jimmy and of his different mouth movements as well. I also had to kind of remove him so that I could get a kind of background on there as well, so that I could put Jimmy onto that background. And, you know, it was a bit complicated. Like, it would be much easier for Jimmy because he just has those assets because he created them. But for me, I had to just take his videos and then go through and, you know, kind of dissect them a bit and try and rip them apart as best I could so that I could put it back together in the way I wanted. So that it was very fun doing that intro bit, and it was fun doing the rest of the video. Like, I liked the little YTP and V at the start. I think maybe I made a few too many Undertale references in round 3. Oh yeah, that was something else I wanted to talk about. The scene at the end, the kind of the Mario Head battle. That was something that I had to rewrite multiple times because I just couldn't figure out how to get it right. Originally, I had this big extravagant idea that was kind of going to come out of nowhere, where, I don't know, because there was like this little thing that I subtly set up in round 1. Because you know, the Happy Mask Salesman, he had his mask stolen, and I kind of did a little subtle thing where I was going to hint that it was Mario Head who stole it, and I think a lot of people did get that, but then, you know, Jimmy didn't do anything with that in round 2, and then that's when I thought, actually, you know what, that was kind of a stupid idea anyway. So I'm kind of glad he didn't do anything in round 2. But then I thought, well, maybe, because like originally I just had the idea, okay, well, in round 3 we'll have that bit kind of conclude, and have Mario Head, everyone be revealed that he was the one who stole the mask or something like that, and then there would be this battle between him and PBG. And I think I originally had this idea with like the Happy Mask salesman was going to get annoyed at Mario Head. Mario Head was then going to throw the mask and decapitate the Happy Mask salesman, who I think at that point was PBG's dad as well. And then that was going to get PBG annoyed enough to fight Mario Head, and then there was going to be this battle that was kind of based on the Majora battle at the end of Majora's Mask anyway. And I went through and I did like add little bits from round 2 and round 1 to kind of make it so that it was clear that I was using these to make this battle. But like I was going through that multiple times and I was like, I don't think this fits. I think this is too big a leap from the rest of the video, and I think it doesn't, even though it's using elements from round 1 and round 2, I don't think it doesn't feel like it fits with it doesn't feel like it fits with the tennis match as a whole. It feels like it's a separate thing. And so I was going through and I was like, I need to think of an idea for this. Like I can't think of how to resolve this. And then one day it just hit me, like, what about if PBG just gets annoyed at Mario Head for a very simple thing, like a stupid thing that wouldn't bother anyone else, just like a pet peeve. And then that's when everything clicked. That's when I remembered the bit from the Incredibles commentary where he was talking about that animation isn't a genre. And then I remember there was a load of comments, people saying that YouTube poop isn't a genre. And that's something I do agree with, that YouTube poop isn't a genre. And then I realized, oh my god, Jimmy Davis called YouTube poop a genre in his channel trailer. And that was the thing that was used for when Mario Head actually took Jimmy's body. And I thought, this all fits together so perfectly. And I was like, this is where this has got to go. And so I put together that little battle, and I think that definitely worked out for the best. I like that I still used, because I'd like created the music for that, which was basically just the good Egg Galaxy music from Super Mario Galaxy, which was developed into the Mario Head theme song from PBG's Super Mario Galaxy video, and that turned into just like the theme song for Oh Mario Head. So I thought, okay, I used that, and then I just kind of mixed that with the drums and the beat from the Flowey boss fight in Undertale. Again, another Undertale reference. And I liked that music, even though it was a bit generic. It didn't take that long to do. It wasn't anything very creative, but I did like that I did still use that music for the battle, and I think it kind of made it a bit more ridiculous as well, because you had this kind of almost epic sounding music with this overly ridiculous boss fight where PBG is just slicing Mario Head and he's just multiplying, and all of this just because he called YouTube poop a genre. And then in the end he tries to, oh yeah, that was another thing, the ending to that I changed as well, because originally I had an ending where pretty much the same as how it went. He was like, I gotta commit genocide. Sans would go, you dare. It would zoom out to the screen, and then there would be a pie on the desk, and PBG was gonna throw a Wii remote at the pie to blow up the whole computer, and it was gonna do the like Allahu Akbar noise, but like on the bar, it was just gonna be a big boom, and you wouldn't hear that end bit. And that was my original idea. Strangely enough, I actually had a similar idea for the ending to the Madagascar YTP, where I think someone was going to smell gas on the ship, and then there was going to be the Allahu Akbar noise mixed with the WTF boom as well. I think I was going to do both of them, and then the whole ship was going to blow up, and I thought that was a good ending. But then I opted to not do that, and I instead did the stupid, very eerily quiet ending where everyone was Skipper except Private. And I think that ending definitely worked a lot better with the final video, because the video itself was very, very loud and very in your face, that I thought it was nice to have that very just eerily silent ending. I thought that fit much better. But then I was then gonna do that similar ending for the round 3, and I was gonna have it so that he would hit the pie and it would all blow up and that would just be the end. And I think there was going to be some kind of gag where it was going to say, like, I think he's dead. Or something along those lines, some kind of PBG joke, which I did actually use. But I thought, you know, he says, you know what, and then Link pops up from round 2 and he says what, like he does in round 2. And then I just thought, what about if he just hits Link in the face instead, and then Link just falls over? And then I did that, and I thought, actually, this works much better. This is much more comical, much more. You wouldn't see it coming kind of ending. I thought that definitely works a lot better than just ending with a big explosion, which is incredibly generic and something that I definitely want to avoid trying to do in the future. If I ever come up with, if I'm ever like lost for an ending, and I think, oh, maybe I'll just have a big explosion. I got to think, no, I tried that twice and it didn't work twice. So I got to think of something better than that. So that's an interesting little tidbit, I think. The ending to round 3 was originally going to be completely different, but I think the one I settled with was definitely the better option to go with. I don't think I have any of the audio saved from that original ending, or maybe I do. I'm not entirely sure. In fact, I think I might do for the Madagascar one. I might have the original audio for that, not the visuals, because I changed the idea before I did the visuals. But maybe if I ever do another like deleted scenes, maybe you'll get to see that, how it was going to end. So that was kind of interesting. So I did like round 3, and I definitely did like doing the kind of the sitcom bit where I mixed it with the Friends theme song as well. I thought that was a decent idea. So I'm honestly really looking forward to seeing what Jimmy does with round 4. I don't know if he's working on it right now. I think he said that he was going to work on it sometime soon. I don't know. Maybe he is working on it as we speak. Who knows? I don't know. You tell me, Jimmy. Are you doing it right now? I don't know. I think he's still doing the King's Nostalgia trip, which I'm equally looking forward to. That looks like it's going to be so awesome. So what happened after that? That was early March, I think. What else have we done this year? Sorry, I'm just going to move this. Hopefully protect from the wind a bit better than it already was. Yeah, I think that works a bit better. So what else did we do? We I think that was, haven't made any more YouTube poops. Oh yeah, we did. I entered the Shrekkening collab, didn't I? I did a Shrek entry. Because like I think it was sometime last year. I just thought, you know what, I'm joining too many collabs, and it's annoying working with all these deadlines. I think I'm just going to take a break from collabs for a while. So then I thought. Then I went back into joining collabs with the Shrek collab, and I thought, yeah, I definitely want to do this. Looking back on it now, I'm not entirely happy with that collab entry. I think I could have maybe done it a bit better if I thought about it a bit more in depth. You know, I thought what I did was okay. It was definitely good enough to get into the collab. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, Emp didn't just accept me because, you know, we're kind of friends. I'm hoping he did actually like the entry. And you know, I did see a few comments saying that it was one of the best entries in the entire collab. But you know, I still look back on it now and I'm just like, I'm not really that happy with it. I thought that the editing was fine, but the actual jokes themselves, they were just a bit generic, I think. I liked the All-Star remix that I did, and I had like little bits of little Shrek voice clips, him singing along to that. I thought, okay, that works, but the visuals weren't that good for that thing. Basically, all I did was distort everything and make it all green, and I thought that was a bit generic. I then did go back and I added like a little Shrek head that was bobbing up and down, And I kind of, because I think what I did with that video is that I got all the ideas and I put them together, and then I got the video out really quick. And then I had a couple more days left until the deadline, and I just thought, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to make a few things better. And I'm really glad I did. Like, there was the one little clip where just after the song plays, Donkey faints. And originally I kind of had that cut out really weirdly, where I did this effect where I was kind of like trying out this effect where if you had a background and then you play the clip of a character in front of the background and you kind of invert one of them and fade them enough and then get rid of the grey, then would the character just be cut out completely perfectly? And it didn't work very well, but I used that and I thought, this is good enough, it looks like Donkey's fainting, so I'm going to use it. But then I went back and changed that and actually properly cut him out, and I thought that looks so much better. It definitely looks much, much better. And I do like the stupid edits in there where like I had to kind of have Donkey not there so that I could have him faint and have him fall off screen. And so all I simply did was take the bit from the right of Shrek, flip it, and then stretch it so Shrek looks really weird. But I thought, you know, it's a YouTube poop. You can do stupid stuff like that and nobody's going to judge you for it. So it works perfectly. Like that's something I've often thought about. Like, a lot of the times when I make my videos and then I have these kind of ridiculous ideas and then I put them together in editing and they look very unprofessional. But then a lot of the time I just think, you know what? I think I'm just going to keep them like that, because when, you know, this is a YouTube channel. I'm not like working for a movie studio or anything like that. And when you do stuff and it looks unprofessional, it kind of adds a little bit of charm to it. And it's strange. Like, a lot of the time when I have to use a green screen, which is not very often because I'm not very good with a green screen. I don't really have a proper green screen. I have like a green piece of card and I have to light it and make sure the shadows aren't in it. And it's just really complicated. I'd love to be able to have a proper green screen and do it properly. But whenever I do green screen stuff, it never works out properly in the editor and you can always see a bit of green outline. But sometimes I just like to keep that, and I like to think, actually, you know what? It's kind of funny when you notice that. You watch it back and you notice that there's a bit of a green outline and you're like, that was obviously green screened. And you know, it kind of gives it a bit of charm. It gives it a bit of personality. It doesn't look super high-tech professional. It looks like there was just somebody who just wanted to make a video and they tried their best, and it didn't turn out that great, but you know, the ambition is there and the creative idea is still there. It just looks a bit shoddy. And you know, I'm not saying like that's an excuse for not trying or anything. I'm not saying like you shouldn't try and make it as good as you can, but if you can't make it as perfect as you had in your head, then it doesn't really matter, because it's just a YouTube video. You're not well, I was going to say you're not getting paid for it, but in some cases you might be getting paid for it. But like, this isn't like for a full motion blockbuster film or anything like that. It doesn't need to look massively brilliant. Like, I mean, like something that just popped into my head there and then was that, like, if you take JonTron, for example, like his videos recently, I mean, I know he uploads very infrequently, but his videos recently have been very professional looking, and he's obviously like got the budget to like properly do this as like a proper show, and it looks really good. But there are still like very, very small little things that you'd notice that like that wasn't edited perfectly, or there's a bit of a mistake there. So, you know, it still kind of adds to the charm. Like, something that just popped in my head was the bit when he was doing the Disney bootleg things, and he did a bit where he hung himself, and it was obviously done with effects because he didn't obviously hang himself. But there's this small little section where his hand kind of fades out of the frame because it was obviously cut there, and they didn't notice that his hand kind of went outside the boundaries. And I always think back on that, and I always like that, because it just reminds me that, like, yes, this is just a load of people who are just making a video because they want to make a video. They're not making it because it needs to be this super massively professional looking thing, and they can't afford mistakes like that. It just gives it its own charm and personality. And I've gone off on a massive tangent. I can't even remember what I was talking about. I was talking about the Shrek video. Yeah, that's what it was. I think I'm just going to finish up this water, otherwise I'm going to keep looking at it and keep wanting to drink more. So yeah, we did the Shrek video. I keep saying we. Like, I guess I've just kind of got into a habit of saying we, like you guys are part of this channel. I mean, you are. That's what I mean. You are. That's why I'm saying it. But you know, you know, you didn't make the videos, so you know, it just kind of seems a bit weird to me. But obviously, you know, you're a part of this channel, and this channel would be nothing without you. And I'm just moving because I'm really uncomfortable. Oh, okay, more comfortable now. Okay, been sat here for a while now. So, what did we do after that? Oh, actually, before that, I actually had another YouTube poop out, didn't I? Oh, there's a car over there. Please tell me that car's just stopped there. that car is shining right into my eyes. Pretty sure that car's just stopped there for just because. Yeah, he's just stopped there just because you can stop there. You know, it's not like I'm not allowed to be here. This is a public footpath. I'm definitely allowed here. So I don't have anything to worry about. But it's just kind of annoying. Oh, actually, I think they're going. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we had another YouTube about collab entry for Weaslew's 2D cartoon collab, which I thought it fell through because Weaslew left, and then there was this. It was all kind of up in the air. Nobody really knew what was happening, I think. And so other people uploaded their entries, and then I uploaded my entry because I was told, you know, I was given the okay to, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just upload the entry. And then not long after that, the collab actually came out. So if I just waited a little bit longer, it might have been a bit better, but it doesn't matter. And that was the Mr. Men one, the Mr. Strong video. Because I'd made that back in... When was it? Well, it must have been 2016, I guess. Or maybe it was even before that. No, it wasn't before that, because I had... Oh yeah, that's what it was. I must have made it around early 2016, because I had my original watermark on that video originally, which is with the one that had the Tiki Island white font with the hair cuffs still on the R and the S. But then since Smash Bandicoot, I've changed my watermark, and it now uses the kind of orangey Twinsanity font, still with the hair cuffs, obviously. And I remember I went back and I changed it and put the new watermark there, and I said, hey Weasley, can you have this one instead, because it has my new watermark and I think it will just look better. And then she said, yeah, that's fine. But then, you know, the collab kind of fell through after that. But then it came back, and, you know. So, yeah, it must have been very early 2016. Possibly even late 2015, I think. Because that was when I would have been working on Smash Bandicoot. But yeah, that was a fun video to do. Because... she invited me to the collab, and she said, you know, it's a 2D cartoon. I thought, okay, well, what can I pick? And then I was like going through some of my DVDs, and then I found a really old DVD that had the really old Mr. Men cartoons, the ones that were narrated by Arthur Lowe, which were basically the books just in animation form on TV. So I used that, and I went through. There was about 7 or 8 different ones on there, and Mr. Strong was one of them. And I thought maybe I could do something with Mr. Strong. And then I watched it through, and there was like the bit where he like something like he walks through a brick wall, he walks into a tree, something about a farmer, he then puts something in the river, and I thought, what if I change this so that he somehow causes a car crash and then disposes of the body and the car? And I thought that's so perfect for something as innocent and simple as Mr. Men for Mr. Strong to do. And it just works so perfectly, because there's the bit where he walks through the brick wall. I thought, okay, the car can go through the brick wall. He walks into the tree. Okay, the car can crash into the tree trunk falls on the car, kills the farmer, and because there's this whole bit with the farmer. I thought, okay, well, there's a bit where he picks up the barn and he puts it in the river to fill it up with water. I thought, okay, well, what about if he just picks up the car and then dumps it in the river and it just sinks, and then he leaves it there, he's just abandoning the car in the water. And I thought this all fits together so perfectly, and it was so fun doing the sentence mixing for it, because it was, the entire thing is just narration from Arthur Lowe, so I had a lot to work with, and I could just, have him narrate entirely what's going on and have it be just completely ridiculous, and have him like covering up a murder. I thought that worked perfectly. And then I thought, okay, well, what can he do with the farmer? And then I just thought, what about if he takes him home and he eats him? This is actually just making me laugh because of how stupidly ridiculous it is. Like, thinking about it now and just explaining it is just making me smile, because it's funny. That kind of thing is funny to me. Just having such an innocent, pure thing like Mr. Men, and turning it into something where he causes a car crash, gets rid of the car, and then eats the dead farmer. Oh, it's funny. And it's a shame that it took that so long for me to release that video, because I mean, it was, it doesn't really matter, because I liked that a lot of people still really liked it when they got to experience it firsthand. But I was like sitting on that for a while, and I was like, I really wish I could upload this, because I'm really happy with this collab entry. It's probably one of my favorite collab entries that I've made, up there with Meet the Dalek, which is I think, and Riley Coyote the musical. I think those are my favorite collab entries I've made. I think Meet the Dalek was just, it worked really well. It was a source that not many people really use, and I could get a lot out of it, and it was just really fun doing stupid sentence mixing with a Dalek, because it is fun doing stuff like that. Like, sentence mixing with certain things is really fun. Like, sentence mixing with Cortex is great because you've got so much to work with, so many quotes. Like, he has like a million quotes in Tag Team Racing and Mind of a Mutant and things like that. And sentence mixing with Robotnik is good because it's easy, and everything he says kind of is enunciated in a certain way, and it just works really well. Sentence mixing with the CDI characters, again, you got a lot to work with. You kind of know where everything is, so it's easy to go through and get the bits you need because you know it pretty well. But then you have things like sentence mixing with a Dalek, and sentence mixing with a narrator who's just narrating the whole thing, and you can just make him tell this other story. Stuff like that is really fun to me. But yeah. Speaking of sentence mixing, it is interesting doing this collab entry now that I'm working on at the moment, this Pixar one, because there's like no voices whatsoever. I mean, there's maybe one or two words, I think. 1 or 2 words said in the entire thing. The rest is all just visual stuff. So I thought this could make an interesting challenge. And from what I've come up with so far and putting it together, I actually think this is probably going to be another one of my favorite collab entries. Okay, I was just checking the time. We've been recording over an hour now, and battery is still full, which is a good sign. Well, not completely full. It's still on 3 bars at least, so that's good. Can you hear that? I don't know. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. So what else have we done? Oh, yeah. And then late into March, um, I uploaded Tuffy, and Tuffy was interesting. Tuffy was a thing that pretty much me and all my three sisters worked on, which was a present for our mum for Mother's Day. Uh, um, I thought that was a good thing to do because it was it was an idea like kind of thought up from her, like, because like in the past, ages ago, when I did like the Dibdy animations and things like that, I did one for Mother's Day and Mum really liked it, and she said, like, you know, you could do another animation for Mother's Day. And I thought, yeah, I could do. It has been a while since I've actually done like a proper animation. Like I've kind of just kind of evolved, I guess, into doing other stuff. Or I don't know, not evolved, because I'm not saying like it's greater than animation. I mean, animation is still amazing, and I still hope to do some more animation in the future. In fact, I have still got quite a lot of stuff planned, animation wise. But I thought, you know what? What about if this could be like a collaborative thing? Because like Jen is good at knitting. Like, she knows how to knit, and she can knit some amazing things. Like, she's knitted. For those of you who may or may not have seen Admiral Beard, which was an entry to the E4 Eastings competition. Which, if you know what that is, it's essentially you like make a 10-second little thing, a little animation, a little clip, whatever, but it has to have the E4 logo in, and then if you're one of the winners, then yours would be featured on the E4 channel in like the ad breaks and things like that. So we entered that, and we made a little animation with a character called Admiral Beard, who was this captain who basically, he didn't have any eyes because he just had such a big mustache and a big beard. And Jenny knitted that. It was kind of held up by like cardboard tubes and things like that, but you know, she knitted all of that, and it was really good. And then I did like the stop motion stuff for it, and like we both worked on like the sets and things, and it was really fun doing that. And it didn't turn out great, but it didn't turn out great, but I still really like it. If you go back and watch it now, like the camera is really shaky because you know, we weren't that experienced with the stop motion stuff, so the camera kind of moved a bit every time I pushed the button, which was in hindsight kind of stupid, and the quality is also quite low on that. We didn't get in. Our entry wasn't accepted, which was unfortunate. But you know, I've said to her, like, if they do another Eastings competition, then we've definitely got to enter that, and we've got to do something much better than Admiral Beard. But you know, Jenny's good at like knitting these characters and stuff, so I thought, okay, well, what about if we did some kind of animation with owls? Because Mum loves owls. Owls, I think, are her favourite animal, along with like hares and giraffes. And I thought, okay, what if we do an animation with owls? You can knit the owls, and then I'll do the stop motion stuff. And then I thought, wait, what about if we bring everyone else in, and we can bring my younger sister, my older sister into this too? Because my younger sister can think of like the idea for the story, because she has like a good imagination. She's 7 years old, but she has such a good animation, and she can like tell these very really adorable stories. I thought, okay, yeah, she can come up with the idea for the story, and then my older sister is very creative in a different way. Like, she can like build these really cool arts and crafts stuff, and she does it a lot with her house with her children. And I thought, what if she could like design the set and things like that, and she could make like a chair and like a fireplace and a door and things like that, and then have like the set, and then we got the set, we got the story, we got the characters, and then we can animate it, and it can be a big collaborative effort thing. And it was really fun doing that, and we did kind of work really, really hard to get it finished in time for Mother's Day. Unfortunately, we don't live in America, so Mother's Day comes early for us. So we didn't have too much time, and I guess if we had a bit more time, then it would have looked better. But again, like I said before, it kind of adds to the charm when something is a bit unprofessional looking. But you know, I did my best with the editing, tried to make the best of what we'd got, because we honestly hadn't got that much, and some of it was really difficult because a lot of bits we had to actually do outside. I thought, yeah, okay, we've got the inside stuff, and that's fine, but they're owls. They're gonna be living in a tree in the woods, and we live right next to a wood, so we can go out and film some stuff out there. But we had to film it at night, and so we had to get all these lights, and then it was just like, it was difficult going out and getting all this stuff, because at that time of year it was actually really cold, because it had just gone winter, so it was still pretty cold outside. But we did it, and it turned out really good. And like, I did the music for it. I did kind of base the music on some other things. Like there was the tune that plays at the end is a song that I wrote years and years ago. Like when I had my really old keyboard that was just like a little portable keyboard. Just one of those like very child-friendly keyboards. But I just was playing notes, and I just played like dum 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 dum, and then I just like added from that, and it was like dum 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 dum, and I thought, okay, I can bring that back for this, and because it was just like a nice happy tune, and I thought it definitely fits much nicer with the ending. That it's a really happy ending. There was some other things that I just kind of wrote there and then. I sort of had in my head like that it would go well with the music for the Pixar short Knick Knack, which is on the Finding Nemo DVD. Played before Finding Nemo in cinemas, so you've probably seen that. But like the music to that is really fun. It's like this kind of a cappella thing that was like dung 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 something like that. And I thought that maybe I can try and create something a bit like this. So I did. I added like little clicks and like I had me going like boom, and I turned that into a little tune, and then we had the more slower tune, which then built up to the dramatic bit where he gets pulled outside by the wind. Sorry, he's holding onto the balloon, and then it pops, and then that's when he realizes that he can fly, and it all just turned out to be a really nice animation, and Mum loved it, of course. I asked her, like, is it alright if I can put this on my channel? And she said, that's fine. And so I did, and you guys really love it too. And it's definitely a lot more child friendly than some of the other videos that I made, and in some ways that kind of makes it feel a bit out of place on the channel. But I really liked how it turned out, and everyone else did too, and it was a really nice thing to do, and I thought it was a good Mother's Day gift. I mean, ultimately it was her idea, but we didn't let her know that everyone else was kind of joining in on it too, and it just ended in this really nice video. So that was fun. That was a fun thing to do, to work on. So what did we do after that? Well, this was like end of March, so what happened in April? Well, I know what happened in April. April is when I announced the collab, wasn't it? So I guess maybe we could talk a bit about the collab, I suppose. I mean, there were a few other things that happened, like May, June, July kind of time, but none that I can really remember off the top of my head. But yeah, let's talk about the collab a bit then. So the deadline has passed, and I've you know that, and I've announced who's been accepted. And so far I've got pretty much everyone, except I still don't have Logan Whitey's egg. Oh, and one other thing, Doc Yoshi. I don't know if you're listening to this, but Doc Yoshi, I need to tell you this, because I've replied to your comments, and I've been trying to get into contact you, but I can't seem to. So if you're listening to this, I don't know if you will be, probably not, but hopefully, if I can get through to you, I just want to tell you this. I can't access your video. I think what may have happened is you may have set it to private instead of unlisted, and that means that I can't get it. I can't watch it. I can't download it or anything like that. But because you said that you spent a lot of time on it, and then you were kind of disappointed that I hadn't accepted it, and that was because I haven't seen it. I literally just haven't seen it yet, and so I really need to tell you that, because I want to watch it, and chances are I will accept it, because it seems like it's something that you really put a lot of effort into it. So if you can get that so that it's unlisted, and then send me the link again, or in fact you don't need to send me the link again, you've sent it to me a couple of times, but just change it from private to unlisted, and then I will watch it, and then I will most likely accept it. I mean, it would be a bit kind of disappointing if I then just saw it and thought, actually, you know what, I can't accept this. That would be kind of stupid, but chances are I'm probably going to accept it, because I've accepted almost every dragon egg that has, some level of effort put into it. And it seems like yours does, but I haven't seen it yet. So if you're listening to this, which I really hope you are, then please can you just change your entry to unlisted instead of private. And then I will let you know if I've accepted it, which I most likely will. Because you've left a few comments and I've replied and I've said, like, I can't get to it, the video is unavailable. Is it privated? Because you need to set it to unlisted, because otherwise I can't watch it, because it won't let me. And I've replied to a load of your comments, but you haven't replied back, and I'm thinking maybe you just haven't noticed that I've even replied at all. So I really need to let you know this. Just checking again that there's nobody here. But everyone else, apart from Logan Whitey, who I still haven't received your egg, unfortunately, at the time this video is going to go out, it will be August 1st, so if I haven't got your egg yet, Logan Whitey, then I'm sorry, but I have no choice. I'm just going to have to reject your entry. I'm sorry. I've tried to contact you in multiple ways, but to no avail. So unfortunately yours will unfortunately have to be rejected, and I'm sorry about that. Unless of course I did receive your egg in the time from when I recorded this to actually August 1st, when this video goes out, in which case, that's all fine. But everyone else, I've got everyone else's. And, even if people have changed their avatar or their name, it's all good. Everyone who I've said will be in the collab, and it's all final. And that's good. So I guess I will talk about the collab on my end, which is something that I've been thinking about in the past few days. Not only because I need to start actually working on it sometime soon, but it's kind of weird because, for this, obviously a lot of it is collab, so a lot of it I don't actually have to worry about that much, but I do want to do a lot of my own stuff in it, and I want to kind of give it a story as well as it being a collab, because it's not only a collab, but it's also a sequel to Ripto's Racist, and it's also kind of just a big Spyro YTP. But not only that, it's also the 10k subscriber special. And so I kind of want to make it somewhere along the lines of as big as Mash Bandicoot was. And because it's been ages, since I even what am I trying to say? Since I decided, yeah, that's it. Since I decided that I wanted to do a sequel to Ripto's Racist, I came up with a very basic story idea, and then I've kind of evolved that story idea as time goes on, and I've even implemented a lot of that into the script, which I've done quite a lot of already. But like looking back on it, I'm just thinking like, I'm not happy with this story. It doesn't, it just, there's something about it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work to me, and I'm not happy with it. Because like Mash Bandicoot, take Mash Bandicoot for example. Like, I had that planned for so long, like pretty much since I finished Ripto's Racist, and somebody left a comment saying that you should do a Crash Bandicoot YTP. Then I have had the idea for Mash Bandicoot for so long, and I knew what I wanted to do with it. Like like this was around the time where I was like even still going to college, and I was constantly thinking about it, and I was writing down all my ideas, and I was like trying to find the best way to do this story. And I thought, you know, Mash Bandicoot turned out really well story-wise. I mean, yes, like I've said before, some of it is based off Crash of the Titans story. I mean, like the whole Doominator thing is obviously just from Crash of the Titans. But I liked that there was this whole thing about Cortex and Robotnik, which is something that, you know, I've thought about for a long time. And a lot of people, you know, I've read on articles and things about people saying how Cortex and Eggman are very similar and that they could possibly be brothers. And I thought, this is absolutely perfect for a YouTube poop because Robotnik is a YouTube poop icon, and I love using Cortex. And so that was, you know, the initial idea. And then I thought this could also be a great conclusion for the Krabs and Mario Head storyline that I started way back in like my 3rd video on this channel. This is when I can conclude that storyline. And not only that, but I could also make this as Crash Bandicoot-y as I possibly can. And the story, it really worked. Like, they team up. There's the nude broadcast. there's the news broadcast. And you know, everyone finds out. Mr. Krabs finds out. He goes on a quest to get the $1 million back from Mario Head. Crash and Aku Aku find out, and they go to try and stop that. They team up, and you know, like that was the thing I'd like set up in Five Nights at Foster's as well. I thought, okay, I'll set this up at the end of Five Nights at Foster's to lead on to the 1K sub special, Mashed Bandicoot. I could remember like ages ago I just used to call it my 1K sub special, and I always referred to it as just the 1K sub special. Now I always refer to it as Mash Bandicoot because I kept the title secret for so long until I actually released the trailer. But like the story, it worked. Like they team up, they like tell the plan, they get recruit all the the literal minions, and then other people to help build the Doominator. They go to the Doominator, the airship crashes, they go on a train, they rebuild the airship, and then they go to the Doominator. And then they're on the Doominator, Robotnik betrays Cortex, and then takes over the whole operation, and like he has a motive, and the motive, like even though there's a bit of inconsistency, there's kind of a bit of a plot hole there where like, well, did Robotnik and Cortex, did they have a childhood together? Like, did they know each other? Do they know? And if they did, like, why was Robotnik surprised when Cortex told him that he was his twin brother at the end of Five Nights at Foster's? And you know, there's a plot hole there, but like there was the motive where he like humiliated him in school or something like that, and that he wanted to get the revenge, and that he had this planned, and then Cortex tricks Robotnik, and then he like reminds him that like they had a good childhood and they had a lot of fun together. He releases him, and then Cortex punches him in the face and takes over the operation from him. And then Mario Head goes over to defeat Crash, and that's when Mr. Krabs' storyline comes back in. And then there's the battle between Mr. Krabs and Mario Head finally. And then what is revealed is what I like did in the first part, was where the Mario Head had spent the $1 in a vending machine, and then he just gives Mr. Krabs just a normal $1, and even though it's not his millionth $1, like Mr. Krabs just appreciates the gesture, and then they're on equal terms and they're happy. And then plot twist, Mr. Krabs is killed by Cortex. And then, you know, at that point, like Robotnik is against Cortex, Mario Head's against Cortex, everyone else is against Cortex at that point. And then I just thought, what the perfect end to this is if Crash is the one who tries to shoot him, because Crash has done absolutely nothing to help here. He's done nothing to contribute to the story. He's done nothing to actually help in anyone's quest here. He's just kind of been there. And I thought that was an interesting thing, because like this isn't a game, this is a video you're watching, so you're not controlling Crash, so Crash ultimately isn't doing anything here. And here's an interesting thing. I originally had an idea where at the bit where Crash and Aku Aku and Markiplier, I guess, was kind of there as well. I forget how that was implemented. That was just kind of there as a thing. And then Scratch and Grounder stop them, and then Engine interrupts them before they fight or anything like that. I originally had an idea that there was going to be an actual battle there between Crash and Scratch and Grounder. And I don't know how I was going to do it. I think I was going to do it a kind of RPG thing that I ended up using for Krabs and Mario Head. And then it would end with Engine interrupting them like he does anyway, because he doesn't want Grounder to be hurt, which I had then set up earlier on in the video with, you know, him being attracted to Grounder and stuff like that. And it all just kind of worked out nicely. But then one day I just thought, like, actually, I think it would be better if there wasn't this battle here, because I think it would be a much better impact at the end if Crash had done absolutely nothing this entire time. I think it would be much better if then, right at the end, he was the one who just had the gun fall in front of him, and he just had the opportunity to shoot Cortex, and then he misses. And I just thought, this is... But then, inadvertently, he actually ends up blowing up the Doominator anyway and saving the day. But I just thought this all fits together so perfectly that I think it would just be much better if this Scratch and Grounder battle wasn't in it. So I scrapped that idea completely. But, like, my point of all this is that, like, the story was so well fleshed out. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I'm not trying to big myself up here, but, like, I thought about the story for well over a year. Like, this was well over a year planning this video. And I think that I haven't done that level of planning for Ripto's Races 2 for the story. And I think the story is a bit generic, and I kind of want to think of something a bit more unique. I won't tell you my original idea, because I may kind of implement that into the final video, kind of just change it a bit. But I think I need to come up with something a bit more unique, because a lot of the times, some of my jokes or some of the things I use in the stories are just very generic ideas, things I've used before, just like explosions or like sexual innuendos or smoking or something like that, or drugs and things that I've used in multiple videos that I don't need to keep reusing over and over. Stuff like that, they just become very generic, and I want to think of something more original. But I need to have it focus on Ripto, because I want Ripto to be like the main thing here. Like, a lot of collab entries feature Ripto, and a lot of the entries that I've received have been of Spyro 2 and of Enter the Dragonfly, which is good, because then it means that, like, Ripto will be involved in the middle of the video. He won't just be a thing at the start and the end. There will be a lot of Ripto in this video. But I want something to be about Ripto. I want Ripto to realize something. I want Ripto to go on some kind of, you know, I mean, this sounds kind of stupid and idiotic when you're talking about YTP, but I want Ripto to go on some kind of emotional journey here. Interestingly enough, I've been watching a lot of some of my favorite films. I've been watching the audio commentary, because it actually really inspires me to watch a film and then learn, like, the making of things, and like how many things are, like, changed late into production because they just think it works much better. And I'm just thinking, like, that's the kind of thing that I want to do. I want things. I want to change things last minute if I can think of a better idea. That's what works for me. And you know, like, that's the thing I do with all of my videos. If I'm close to finishing and I actually think this would be better if it was done this way, then I will go back and change it. And I think that's what you know, again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I think that's what makes my videos so enjoyable to people, and, you know, so enjoyable to me as well, is that I really, really think about them. I really plan them out. They're not just put on paper and then done. That's it. I really think about them carefully and intricately, and try and get them to have a certain impact on people in a certain way. I think maybe in some ways I overanalyze them, but it's worked so far, and so I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to keep doing that as best as I can, which is why I think I really need to rethink the original building blocks for this story of Ripto's Races 2, that I might actually need to possibly change the entire thing. I don't know. It's something that I think I might actually have to talk about in another thing. Like when I was making Mash Bandicoot, what I actually did is one time I just kind of turned my microphone on and I just kind of talked about my ideas, just kind of got all my ideas out there, and then I would go back and listen to that and think, actually, yeah, this is what I can include in it. And it really helps, because then I can just think of ideas there and then expand upon them later on. So I think what I might actually do is sometime later this week, perhaps, I will just kind of do what I'm doing now, except I won't release this, I won't upload this podcast. This will just be like a thing for me, and I can just really think in depth about what the story of Ripto's Races 2 can be and how it would work. Because I do want it to be a story, and I do want it to have a story, even though it's also a collab with a load of entries from other people. I really want it to be this big thing, because it is the 10k subscriber special. And not only that, but, you know, like I said in one of my other WCPs, is that Mash Bandicoot was my YouTube poop love letter to the Crash Bandicoot series. I want Ripto's Races 2 to be my YouTube poop love letter to the Spyro series, because Spyro has just as much a special place in my heart as Crash Bandicoot does, and I did so much with Mash Bandicoot that I think it's only fair that I do as much with Spyro, because Ripto's Races was just a simple YTP of Spyro 2. I want to do a big Spyro related video, and from what I've received so far from the collab entries, I think that, you know, if I just released those by themselves and I didn't do anything, that would be a brilliant video anyway. But I do want to do a lot of stuff myself as well, and add on to that, I do want this to be not just a collab, but something that I have a lot of involvement with as well. It's not just me sitting back receiving a load of YouTube poops from you guys and then just putting them together and thinking, hey, I made that video, even though I didn't, it was everyone else. I do want to do a lot of stuff myself. I don't want to overshadow the other entries or anything like that, but, you know, there's no rules against it. There's nothing to say, like, if you do a collab, then it's got to be 100% entries from other people. You know, you can't do anything else with it. There's no rules when it comes to YouTube poop. So I think that's what I'm going to do sometime later. I'm going to rethink the story. I'm going to try and think of the best way to put it together. And then when I do that, I'm going to actually, you know, get to work on it and get it done sometime soon. And honestly, I think maybe it might be the case that perhaps, in some ways, on some level, in the thick of it, perhaps slightly, shut up, Daniel. I think actually it might be delayed until next year, because I want this to be as good as I can, and if that means that I can't get it done by the end of the year, then I hope you guys can appreciate that. I hope you guys will appreciate that, you know, a lot of you guys have said, you know, Mash Bandicoot, it was worth the wait. It took well over a year to come out, but it was worth the wait. And what's interesting about Mash Bandicoot is that I've actually noticed that has massively spiked recently. And I think that's to do with people being more interested in Crash Bandicoot because of the Insane trilogy. But Mash Bandicoot has massively spiked. Like, I've noticed it. It's gone up massively. It was still obviously one of my most popular videos. I think only behind Crabs, Reels and a Banana Shit Sandwich, and my obviously most popular video, Crustacean Resurrection Redemption. But Mash Bandicoot has had a massive spike recently, and I've gotten loads of comments on it, and people saying like that this was recommended to them, and that like some people who hadn't even watched YouTube Poop for years managed to find Mash Bandicoot, and then they were like, I love this, and I've got to watch more YTPs because they've obviously improved over the years. And I thought that's really awesome, just for the sheer fact that I just happened to make a I just happened to make a Crash Bandicoot YouTube Poop, and it came out at coincidentally, in fact, the same year that they announced they were going to remaster or remake Crash Bandicoot, the original trilogy, was just absolutely perfect timing. Like, I just made Mash Bandicoot, and then a couple months later they're like, hey, we're remaking Crash Bandicoot. And that coincidental timing just made it so that Mash Bandicoot is now becoming a really popular video on my channel, and it could possibly even overtake Crabs, Reels and a Banana Shit Sandwich. Maybe not Crustacean, because that's got like 450,000 views at this point, and all the rest are under 200,000. But I think it could actually just skyrocket, perhaps. At the rate it's going, it could honestly skyrocket, which is crazy. I think that was just perfect timing, and in a way, I'm kind of I'm kind of good. I'm kind of good. What am I saying? I'm kind of glad that now is the time that I'm making the Spyro video, because if Ripto's Races 2 comes out at a similar time that they announce a Spyro remaster, which, you know, I think at this point it's pretty much guaranteed that there's going to be a Spyro remaster, because Crash and Spyro, they just go hand in hand. Everyone knows they go hand in hand. They always have done. The original trilogies, they like had demos for each other. There was like references to each other in the games, and then they like left the original developers. Then there was one awful game, one not so bad game. Then the series was rebooted, and then there was the whole Skylanders thing, and then Crash was in Skylanders, and now there's a remaster or a remake of Crash Bandicoot, the original trilogy, that it's pretty much guaranteed there's going to be a remake of the original Spyro trilogy too. And so I think if that kind of happens at a similar time that Ripto's Races 2 comes out, then maybe the same thing will happen with that. Who knows? You know, obviously that's not like a goal. That's not like a reason to work on the video, a motivator or anything like that. I think, oh, I really got to get this video done because they might announce the Spyro remake soon, or anything like that. No, this is a video that I've had planned for so damn long that it could just be another coincidental timing thing. It could just work out really nice. So how long have we been recording now? Well, my watch says it's 3 o'clock. This says I've been recording an hour and a half, which is only half the time. I'm not actually entirely sure that this video is going to be 3 hours long. I think maybe that's a bit too much, because I've been recording an hour and a half and I'm already starting to get a bit agitated, thinking maybe I should finish up soon. I don't know. But because when did I announce the collab? Like, that was April, and like the deadline's only just passed. It passed like 3 weeks ago or something like that. But there isn't actually that much more to talk about, because I've talked about the Insane trilogy. I've talked about, you know, the gaming videos, and talked about all the YouTube poops I've made this year so far. But I think going back to what I said at the start of this, it was that, you know, when I was saying like that I was kind of lost and not knowing what I was doing with this channel. Talking about all this has definitely helped me so far. It has definitely made me realize, yeah, I know what I'm doing here, and I want to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can. And I want to finish this collab entry. I want to do the original trilogy video, and I want to do Ripto's Races 2, and I want to do a bunch of other things. And going back to what I said, however long ago it was, when I was saying about that, the most fun videos that I've actually done are the ones where I can combine a load of things together. Like I can combine like gameplay and my voice and music and like YTPMV things and YouTube poop things and stuff that I can animate and stuff that I can go out and film and get footage for. All of that is stuff that I love to do. Like, I love all of this. I absolutely love making videos, and I love that I can now make videos just pretty much all the time. Is that coming through, that little tap-in noise? I don't know if that's coming through. I'm going to kind of hook this earphone lead around this, I think. Nope, that's not going to work. Okay. Hang on, I'm just going to put the earphones, wrap them around this. Hopefully that will minimize the little tapping noises in the background. I still don't know how this is going to sound, I've tried to get rid of the wind as much as I possibly can, but you know, sometimes it's just inevitable. It's windy. I'm by a river. It's going to be a bit windy here. Yeah, like that. I'm pretty sure that's coming through. But yeah, like I was saying, I love doing this. I love doing all this stuff. Like I really just love every part of it. Like there's not one part that I don't love. I love coming up with the ideas. I love writing the scripts. I love audio editing. I love video editing. I love coming up, like, doing the different effects and things. I love coming up with the jokes. I love going out and filming stuff. I love actually just getting out on my bike and going to places and filming things. That was a duck. Did you hear that? Did you hear that duck? I love doing the music stuff. I like writing. That's the same duck. What are you doing, Mr. Duck? Trying to disrupt my podcast here? Is he laughing at me? Duck in hell. Yeah, but I love doing the music stuff. I love writing my own little songs and stuff. I like doing the remix things, like YTP&Vs and things like that. I love like doing, you know, it's strange like saying this now, but I actually do really like recording my voice and having my voice be kind of a source material. And that's why I like doing these podcasts, other than the fact that it's a great way for me to just vent and get all my thoughts out of my head, because there's a load of thoughts in my head all the time, and I don't often get an opportunity to actually get them out. So it's great in that sense, but I just ultimately love every aspect of making videos, and when I can do something that incorporates all of it, then that's just so much fun to me. I love it. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And I fully understand why so many people do it. Because it's just so damn fun. It is the best thing. It is honestly the best thing. In my opinion, to me, it is the best thing. Like, everyone has something that they love doing, and this is what I love doing. It's what I've always loved doing. Ever since I was like 5 to 7, 10, whatever number I'm trying to say, but my mouth won't get it out, years old, when I was just like drawing cartoons and making books, and then I got onto the computer and I was turning those into animations, and they were very rubbish, but I still loved it. You know, there's never been a single time in my life that I have not loved doing this. And it's so incredible that I can do it properly now. I mean, as properly as I can, but it's amazing. It's honestly the best thing. And if, you know, other people have, you know, passions, when people have like passions for things, it really shows. Because people have passions for loads of different things, but it's so great to have a passion and follow through with that. It's like the best feeling, and it's like it's the, you know, I mean, this is going to sound like a weird thing to say, but it's one of the fundamental reasons to live, honestly. Like, it is living. Following your passion is living. That's what living is. Having a life dedicated to something is one of the most amazing things that human beings can do. And now I'm going into the philosophical thing. Hey, yeah, amazing life lessons from NPCarlsson. This is what you come to this channel for. That car is still there. Better not be there when I leave, because it's going to be a bit awkward when I leave, because I have to lift my bike over a gate to get into this field. Because I don't know another way in, and also it's just the quickest way. But like, I always make sure there's no cars around, because I'm pretty sure that like there's no problem with me actually coming into this field. It is a public footpath after all. But I don't particularly want to be spotted lifting my bike over a shut gate. So it's going to be a bit awkward if that car is still there when I go back, and I'm going to have to lift the bike over the gate again to get out. I mean, it's not. It won't look as bad getting out because it will just be like, oh, this gate is shut. I need to get out. And that person's gonna be like, oh, that person's just trying to get out. The gate is just shut. Whereas if I'm going in, they're gonna be like, why is that person going into that field? I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to because the gate's shut. Anyway, what was I actually saying? Oh yeah, I think my point was in all of this is that, you know, like I've said a lot of times already, I love doing the videos where I can combine all these different things that I love doing into one video. And I think that it's something I've been thinking about a bit more recently, is that I do want to try and do more videos like with me, because I am definitely much more confident in front of a camera, in front of a microphone than I was when I started this channel. Like, if you go back and you like, if you watch my first Q&A, then oh god, that's awful. That's so bad. Like, I have definitely gotten so much more confident. And you know, anyone who does any YouTube thing, anyone who does YouTube and has like their voice or their face out there, or even if they don't, even if they just make videos and have them appreciated by people, that it's so therapeutic and it makes you really feel good about yourself, and it makes you realize that, you know, you are doing something that matters to people, and that really helps your confidence, and it's massively helped my confidence. But I would like to go and do more kind of, like, I was thinking, like, I've had ideas for a long time to do like review kind of things. Like I did do that one review of that movie, that 10 Cloverfield Lane movie, which it's so damn bad. Like, it's really bad. That don't watch that. That video's got like less than like, I think it's got less than 500 views actually at this point. Nobody cares about it, and I don't care about it. It's terrible. I'm still leaving it up. I'm not taking it down because it's nice to just have there as a reminder that, like, this is what happens when you don't try. But I would like to go back into reviewing things, because for many of you won't know this, but some of you may, is that when I actually started this channel, it was going to be a video game review channel. And the reason there was such a long gap between when I created the channel and August 1st, when I uploaded the first YouTube poop, is that I was actually working on other videos at that time, and I did actually make a few, and they were video game reviews. I think the first one was Spyro: A Hero's Tale review, because I thought not many people talk about this game. Most people either talk about the original trilogy or they talk about Enter the Dragonfly because of how terrible it is. And some people will go on to talk about Legend of Spyro, but not many people talk about A Hero's Tale. I think maybe the reason is because it's so mixed, and, you know, it's just kind of, it's a very average game. And I think that's kind of what I said in the review, is that I couldn't actually make up my mind on whether I liked it or not. And I ended up not giving it a proper score because I just couldn't decide on anything. I just was like, I don't know what this game is. Is it good or is it bad? I just can't figure it out. Ultimately, I think maybe that was just from lack of experience of reviewing games, that I just didn't know what I was doing. But that review was, oh, it was awful. I don't have it now. I don't even have the audio for it at all. That video has just vanished from existence. It doesn't exist. In fact, I think I recorded the footage with a camera. I set it up in front of the TV and played the game for a bit. And interestingly enough, there was actually a glitch in the game, which, if you watch Square Eyed Jack's review of A Hero's Tale, the same thing happens to him. It's just something in the game where you just kind of fall into an endless abyss, and that same thing happened to me, and I was going to talk about it. And like, other people have talked about similar things, like how there's this really long level where you play as just Hunter, but it kind of really feels not Spyro-y. Like, there's this terrible version of Bentley, and then you're fighting like pirate skeletons, and it's like, this isn't Spyro. And I remember talking about that, but other than that, I can't remember much of it at all. I think I kind of put on a bit of a voice for that video as well. So that was a damn terrible video. But then what I did is I actually thought maybe I should start off reviewing games that I'm more passionate about. And I thought, okay, well, everyone's done Crash, everyone's done Spyro, and so I thought, what's the other one? What's the one that is the other thing that's very close to my heart? And then I thought, that's it, Loco Roco. That's what it is, Loco Roco. Loco Roco, which is a game probably not many people have even heard of, but oh, it's a motorbike. Loco Roco is a game that not many people even really heard of. It was 3 or possibly 2.5 games that were out for the PSP, which, it was a decent enough console. But no, I hadn't found anyone really talk about Loco Roco games apart from IGN, who just review every single game that ever comes out. But nobody talks about Loco Roco that much. So I've heard people talk about Patapon, but nobody really mentions Loco Roco, which is strange because I actually prefer Loco Roco to Patapon, strangely enough. And I think that Loco Roco is actually a more well-rounded game than Patapon is. I still love Patapon, and maybe I talk about Patapon sometime in the future. But I love Loco Roco. And I actually made a review of all 3 or all 2.5 games, Loco Roco, Loco Roco 2, and Midnight Carnival. And those were much better than the Hero's Tale. They're still pretty bad. I don't have any of the video for them, but I've still got the audio saved because I've kept them for all these years, because I thought at some point maybe I will go back and I will review Loco Roco again, and maybe I will use these as a kind of basis, because I don't think my thoughts will have changed that much on the games. So I want to talk about as much as I can about Loco Roco. And interestingly enough, Kadikarus actually did a video on Loco Roco not that long ago, which I thought was pretty cool. He was talking about just the first game, because there was a kind of remastered version for the PS4. But I still have the original Loco Roco and the original Loco Roco 2 and Midnight Carnival, and I don't think you can actually get Midnight Carnival anymore, because I think Midnight Carnival, it was a download-only title, and you can't actually access the PSN on the PSP anymore, as far as I know. It won't work probably, or something like that. I don't know. I might be completely wrong on that, but as far as I know, you can't actually get Midnight Carnival anymore. And so I'm so glad that I still have it. I still have it saved on my PSP. It's still there, and I can still play it. But I thought, some point in the future, I really want to go back and I want to do some game reviews, and I want to do them on Loco Roco, because I love Loco Roco and I really want to talk about it and explain why I think they're great games. And the music is so goddamn amazing that I think that I could just get away with just playing the music for the whole review and people would still love it. I mean, those of you who have been around on this channel for a while may remember the Loco Roco instrumental era, where I uploaded nothing but Loco Roco instrumentals for about a month and a half, simply because I could. Simply because nobody else had, and I just thought, I can do this, why don't I upload these? And then I did in the time when I was working on the 2-year celebration video. And I remember that got a lot of hate comments, a lot of people saying why are you doing this? Why aren't you doing proper videos? You've just devolved into just making instrumental versions of games I've never heard of, and it's this is so stupid. And people were saying stuff like that I exploited my fame that I got from YouTube Poops just to upload these. That was a funny time. Believe it or not, there's actually people who are still on this channel who actually still think that I have stopped making YouTube Poops. People think that I actually don't make them anymore, which is really strange. I mean, I get some of it, because I did actually make a video called YouTube Poops Have Stopped. But I never said they'd stopped indefinitely. I just meant they'd stopped for a while. I just taken a break. I suppose in hindsight I probably should have said paused, or just on hiatus or something like that, instead of stopped, because stopped makes it seem like it's indefinite. But it's not, because I brought them back early 2017, and I've done a few since then, and I'm still working on them now. And there's a collab, so obviously I'm still doing them. But it would be good to go back and do some actual game reviews on this channel. Go, in essence, back to the very beginning of this channel, like before August 1st, 2014, before YouTube Poops, before the SpongeBob YouTube Poops, before that. I mean, for some of you who know, you may be a bit, ow, I just stung myself. You may be slightly confused why the Stimpyland is actually subscribed to me. Actually, no, you wouldn't, because you don't know who subscribed to me. My subscriptions are hidden. Oh, what am I talking about? But either way, the Stimpyland subscribed to me, even though his channel doesn't really exist anymore. And that's because when I started reviewing the games, I actually sent one to him and I said, "What do you think?" And he actually gave me a load of advice, and it was really helpful, and I really appreciate that. But then it was not long after that I realized I didn't want to do this. I want to do YouTube Poop, so I stopped it. But yeah, he gave me a load of advice, and I have taken that to heart, and I still remember a lot of what it is. And so I will remember that when I do go back to reviewing some video games, because I do want to do that. And I know a lot of people do that. I know it's kind of, video games are very oversaturated on YouTube, but I don't care. It's because people love them, and people love to do them. People love to watch them. What's the problem? So yeah, I suppose going back to what I was saying originally, in that when I kind of just felt lost, like I didn't really know what I was doing. I suppose ultimately what I'm doing is I'm just creating videos that I want to create, whatever they may be. And I definitely do stand by the thing that YouTube channels, they don't have to be one specific thing. You don't have to have a one specific thing you do on a YouTube channel. Like if you, for example, Markiplier, he's a Let's Player, and that's what people know him for. But he does a bunch of other stuff. He does sketches, and he does remixes, and he does a bunch of other stuff too. Well, actually, I'm not sure how many of the remixes are done by him, but he does a bunch of other stuff that aren't just Let's Plays, but people know him for Let's Plays because that's what he does mostly. And people tend to know YouTubers for what they are most popular for, what they do most of the time. And even though people mostly know me for YouTube Poops, I've always wanted to break out of that just kind of label. I don't want to be a YouTube Pooper. I want to be a YouTuber who does a bunch of different stuff. And some of it I do better than others. Some of it kind of falls flat on its face, but I still want to do it. I still want to do all this different stuff. And there's no rules to say that I have to limit myself to one specific genre. And again, YouTube Poop isn't a genre. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. One specific type of video, that's what I mean. Ah, fudge, I stung myself. God, I'm just hurting myself all over the place today. And there was a duck. What am I talking about? Yeah, so ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway from this video, from this podcast, for me at least, is that I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm kind of glad that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have an end goal in mind. I don't have a certain thing that I should just keep going for the sake of it. I don't have ideas that I just feel like I should be working on. And for example, I've got a list. I have a Word document that I keep just open on my desktop all the time, which is just a big list of all my video ideas. And if I could go back and find the original version when I actually started that list, then there would be a hell of a lot of stuff on there that is done compared to what is not done. But I'm constantly still adding to that list, even though there's a bunch of stuff that I've never really gotten around to. Like, there's stuff that's been on that list for ages that I've not been motivated to do. Like, for example, there was a video that I was going to do around the same time that I uploaded the Madagascar YTP, because I got a few comments where people were saying, like, why is Madagascar your favorite movie? And so I thought, why don't I make a video explaining why it's my favorite movie, and kind of do a somewhat review of Madagascar in a way, but more or less just me saying why I like it. God, what's wrong with my voice? Why I like it. Why I like it. And you know, why it's my favorite movie. And because ultimately, I think what decides what your favorite movie is, it somewhat depends on the time you watch it. Like a lot of childhood films, a lot of films you watch when you're a child, sometimes you watch them later as an adult, and then you're like, actually, this movie is terrible. But then there are those films that you rewatch and you're like, this film is still as good as I remember it, and this is such a good film. And Madagascar for me is one of those films. Like, to a lot of people, they're like, I don't get it. What's so special about Madagascar? It's one of the most generic DreamWorks films I've ever seen, aside from maybe something like B-movie. But at least people can talk about B-movie because of how ridiculous the whole plot is. But I suppose it's kind of similar to B-movie in that, like, a lot of people are just like, this film doesn't have a plot. It's constantly changing what it's about. And that's kind of the argument for Madagascar. Like, a lot of people look at it and say, this film doesn't really have a plot. Like, where is it going? It starts off with these animal, like the zebra wants to break out of the zoo, and then they get washed up ashore, and then there's this, and then, you know, they all want to leave, but then it suddenly turns into this whole thing about Alex is hungry and he wants to eat everybody, and, you know, it kind of just takes a massive shift. But when you really stop and think about it, like, that was the whole basis of the film, is the friendship between Alex and Marty. And that's kind of like my defense for it, is that it has an underlying message, and so does Madagascar 2, which is even the message of Madagascar 2 is even explicitly I can't talk. The message of Madagascar 2 is even explicitly stated at the end of the film, and a lot of people still don't get that was the whole message of the film. Like, it's literally said by one of the characters what the message is, and yet people still think that Madagascar 2 has no plot. Like, it's just all this random stuff happening. There's no relevance to any of it. But it has a message. Madagascar 3, not so much. But anyway, what I was saying is that I never got around to making that Madagascar video. It's still on my list, and I still might make it in the future, I don't know. In fact, just talking about it then has maybe motivated me a bit to maybe explain my thoughts on it a bit. But, like, there's just things on that list that I just never get around to doing, and I'm constantly adding new things to the list. And I'm always saying, like, why am I still adding things to this list when there's stuff that I haven't gotten done yet? There's stuff that I've just put on that list and they've been there for months. I've never got around to starting them. Why am I still thinking of new ideas? But then I actually realized, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with constantly thinking of new ideas and adding them to that list. Because ultimately, these videos don't have to come out at certain times. It doesn't matter if I make a video explaining why Madagascar is my favorite movie 2 years after I make a video where I say Madagascar is my favorite movie. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I make a video explaining, parodying a review and explaining the problems with the original trilogy months and months after the Insane trilogy comes out and fixes those problems. It doesn't matter. And by the way, it doesn't actually fix a lot of the problems I have stated. There's still problems. But my point is, like, I will constantly think of new ideas. And in fact, the other day I actually thought of an interesting idea for a video, which I might as well tell you, I guess. Years ago, like in the era of no Crash Bandicoot, between 2000 and, what was it, 2010, 2012 or something like that, all the way through to 2016, where there was nothing. A load of people will remember that era as just being like the dead era of Crash Bandicoot. Like, nothing happened. and there was all these rumors like, is Crash coming back? No. Hey, this might be a hint that Crash is coming back. No, he's not. And then everyone just kind of accepted it, like, oh, Crash isn't coming back. And then, hey, Crash is back. And they're like, oh my god, it actually is. And then you're like, yeah, it really is. Here's a trailer. Here's the Skylanders thing. But anyway, in that dead era, I had an idea for one or two kind of fan games. Crash Bandicoot fan games. And this is something that I actually used to do quite a lot, which is strange. I even remember doing it at school. Like, when I was on the bus, I just like had these notebooks and I just wrote down my ideas for games. I think I in fact designed a Loco Roco 4, or I think I was going to call it Loco Roco 3 because Midnight Carnival isn't really a proper direct sequel or anything like that. It's more of a spin-off kind of short game. But like I had all these ideas for different games, like, and there was some original ideas as well. Like I had this chameleon game idea, and there was this one about a robot, something like that. I always had these ideas for video games, and I thought if in the future I could create video games, then I think I'd have a lot of fun doing it, and I could utilize these ideas. And in some ways I might actually keep some of them because of that. So yeah, anyway, what I was saying was like I had a couple Crash Bandicoot ideas. Like I had this very basic idea of this Crash Bandicoot and Spyro crossover game, because I thought, okay, there should be like a proper Crash Bandicoot and Spyro crossover game, not like the Game Boy Advance ones that were just really bad, and you know nobody even really cares about them very much because they were so damn terrible. But I thought there should be a proper one, and I thought that if there is a proper one, there should be a reason for it. Like there should be a thing. There should be like its own unique thing. It shouldn't just ride off the fact that, hey, Crash and Spyro in the same place at the same time, what? And then not put any effort into the actual story or the gameplay or anything like that. And that was around the time that I had my PSP, and that's when I played Secret Agent Clank. And I really like Secret Agent Clank because different to like Daxter, which even though Daxter has its own thing, it's like this exterminator thing, bug exterminator thing, which to be honest isn't that interesting. But Secret Agent Clank was its own thing. Like it played similar to a Ratchet and Clank game, just without Ratchet, but it had its own theme. It was a spy thing. It was a secret agent thing, and you had spy-themed weapons and a spy-themed story, and you had these different things that were related. Like there were these rhythm things that were related to Clank getting past lasers and things like that. And I thought that is really cool because it's a spin-off thing with this character, but they've made it its own thing. It's not just playing off the fact that it's Ratchet and Clank without Ratchet. It's actually its own unique thing. And so I kind of adapted that in a way, and I thought, what about if Crash and Spyro were secret agents or something like that? I didn't really think too much into it, and I think I just gave up on it not long after. But I thought that it could work because, you know, you could put these characters in that scenario and it might work. Like, it would definitely make for some good comedy stuff. But I think like Spyro and Crash like have the moveset to be able to do stuff like that. Like, obviously they got like running around and stuff, but and attacks and things like that. And I was gonna like implement some of like the attack thing from like Legend of Spyro and Crash of the Titans and stuff like that. But I thought, you know, Crash can crouch and crawl, and Spyro can like do a wing shield. And in the first game, he could do like a roll thing to avoid stuff. I thought you could implement that into some kind of secret agent stuff. And I think I actually designed like their looks. I think I used the models from Mind of a Mutant and the Legend of Spyro games because, you know, as much as people say they're not very good, I honestly really like their designs. I honestly really like Crash's design in Mind of a Mutant. I don't really like his Crash of the Titans one, but they definitely improved it in Mind of a Mutant. Like, I really like his design in that game. I think it's probably one of the best Crash designs there is. the Mind of a Mutant one. And I actually really like the Legend of Spyro one. Like, I'm not a big fan of his personality or even his voice. I mean, Elijah Wood it's fine, and he does a good job, but I just don't think it really suits Spyro, and he kind of seems a bit boring and kind of it kind of feels a bit too emotional, I guess, which isn't something that you think of when you play Spyro. But I still liked his design. I thought it still looked really good. There's a helicopter going by. That's going to be really awkward for the sound. Can you even hear that? I don't even know if you can hear that, but I'm still going to wait until it goes by. Okay, I think it's far enough away now. But yeah, I was gonna like I think I was gonna, when I was designing it, I was actually like listening to the music from Secret Agent Clank, because some of the music in Secret Agent Clank I really like. Actually, it's really good. It's really good music. It feels Ratchet and Clanky, but it's got that spy element to it, and it's really good music, to be honest. And in fact, I think when I get home I might actually go and listen to some of it, because it's really good music. Like, you should listen to the soundtrack of Secret Agent Clank. Like, I think my favorite one is the casino music, because that's a really catchy, like, secret agent theme. Like, it's really upbeat, but it's also kind of like, you know, sneaky, and I think it's just a really good tune. So I'd recommend that. In fact, I might put that as one of the end cards, just to motivate people to go listen to that. And I think I was going to implement some other stuff, like I was going to like bring all the memorable stuff from Crash and Spyro. You know, like Crash, you'd like have all the moves like jump, double jump, spin, crouch, belly flop, slide. And there was going to be like crates and TNT crates, and there was going to be like the chase sequences, and riding on a character. In fact, I think I was going to have him ride on Spyro, because I was thinking about it, like, when you ride on Polar, the controls are kind of similar to when you play a Spyro, because you press square to charge, and you jump and you move, and that could work for if Crash was just riding on the back of Spyro, and it might work like that. And then for the, you know, all the Spyro things as well, like all Spyro's moves, flame, and maybe it was going to have different breath abilities, I don't know, and I was going to have like the egg thieves back. I thought those would work for the kind of spy setting, because they'd probably look a bit different. I don't know. I had all these ideas, and I never got around to really thinking about that game too in depth. But there was one that I thought about really, really in depth, which I won't talk about too much, because I do actually think I want to do a video about it. But essentially, it was going to be a game. It was just going to be a just Crash Bandicoot game, but it was going to be a game that took place a few years after Mind of a Mutant, where when Cortex and the Znu, when they escaped the crashing space head, they would land on this abandoned planet, and they were going to be there for years, and Cortex was going to be like kind of old, and he like have a beard and stuff like that, and but then he found a power crystal. And then he like it explains like how there's like no power crystals left on Earth, like they've all gone, but there's this one power crystal, and that can help him. And then he goes back to Earth. Oh no, he doesn't go back to Earth. I can't remember what happens, but like the premise of the game was that it was going to be like a galaxy thing. Like Crash was going to be going to different planets. Because I thought, okay, well, in the first game you've got him going to different islands. The second game, you've got him warp into different places on the islands. There's like different settings and stuff like that. There's like ice and like ruins and sewers and things like that. And then the third game, you had the time travel element, which obviously offered a lot of stuff. But I thought, what about if he went to different planets, and instead of an island hopper, he was a planet hopper, and he went to all these different places. And you know, I will explain. I won't go too much in depth here. about some of the ideas, but I remember one of the planets was going to be Gasmoxia, which is nitrous oxide's home planet. And I think I remember that one of the interesting things I thought of was that nitrous oxide had actually lied about him being the fastest racer in the galaxy, and that you get to his planet and realize he was kind of washed up and kind of homeless because he didn't have anything to do, and there was an actual fastest racer in the galaxy called Enzyme, which is a character that I created, who was going to be a Gasmoxian, and he was going to be the boss for that level, for that planet. But he was known for being the fastest racer in the galaxy, but what he actually loved doing was dancing, and then the boss fight was going to be kind of this dance battle. And like, talking about it now, it just makes me think, like, that was actually a pretty unique idea. Like, I sometimes look back on some of my earlier things and think, you know, they're pretty generic, but a lot of the things I thought of when I was a child, they're actually quite unique when I think back to them now. I think, how did I think of something like that? How did I not just go with a very basic idea? How did I come up with that there was going to be another fastest racer in the galaxy, but instead of racing, he actually just wanted to dance, and the boss battle was going to be a dance fight? Like, what? Where does that idea come from? It's weird. And then the final planet was going to be a completely abandoned planet except for this one island, and it was going to be basically planet Cortex. Cortex took over this planet, even though it was just a basic island, and the rest was all just like ocean, like a kind of wasty, grotty ocean. And it was going to have like all of the characters, like, well, maybe not all the characters, but like all of Cortex's henchmen, and I think Coco and Crunch were going to be captured and be there as well. And they were all working to build a giant statue of Cortex, which was going to, I don't know, it was some kind of mechanical thing that was going to help him take over a load of planets anyway. I don't remember exactly what it was. But like, it was really fun designing that game. And I think the name of that game was actually going to be called Crash Landing. And this was before the 2010. In fact, no, it wasn't 2010. It was after that when they announced that there was a cancelled Crash game called Crash Landed. And I remember when I discovered that, and I remember when like it was announced that there was this cancelled Crash game called Crash Landed, and I was like, they stole my idea. But you know, it is a pretty simple idea. I was going to call it Crash Landing. They were going to call it Crash Landed. You know, it's a pretty simple name, to be honest. When you think about like how many puns can you make with the word crash? You can make crash bash, crash boom bang, and then there's Crash Landing. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I might make a video on that, going a bit more in detail into that. Who knows? I kind of went off on a... Oh, that's wind. I kind of went off on a massive tangent there. But, well, it's not really a tangent if I'm just changing the conversation, I guess. So, how long we've been recording now? 2 minutes 15. What? 2 minutes 15? 2 hours 15 minutes. That's what I meant to say. 2 hours 15 minutes. That's a long time. I think I might actually cut this short. I don't know. I don't really think I have that much left to talk about. I don't know. You guys will know, because you guys will see the length of this video and see how long left there is. So I don't honestly know at this point how long I'm going to talk for. But there was oh, that wind is going to be really annoying. I felt like I was blocking a lot of it, but I guess I'm not. Can you just calm down a bit, wind, please? Oh, come on, just slow down. Okay. It's definitely just suddenly got windier. But anyway, yeah, I definitely feel much better after talking about all this stuff. Now, I'm, in fact, I think that's why I want to kind of just end this podcast, because I want to go home and work on videos. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just in the past few weeks, I've just kind of, I don't know. I guess I just kind of felt a bit lost, a bit like I didn't really know what I was doing, where I was heading. But now I know. I've reminded myself why I'm doing this. It's because I love doing it. And I feel like I've just kind of not been myself a bit recently. And I feel like I also kind of feel like I may have slightly taken that out on some people. And I kind of wish I didn't. Like, there's at least 3 people I can think of. I'm not going to say who they are because I want to respect privacy and all that. But I feel like I may have gotten on some people's nerves, or maybe rubbed some people the wrong way, and I don't know. I feel bad about that. I think it is due to just me not really knowing what I was doing, and I kind of just I guess I was just getting a bit agitated by some things, and kind of taken out on some people. Like, I think in the comments I've been easily ticked off by very minor comments more recently. And I wish I hadn't, because I try to treat people with respect, and I try to be positive. I guess a lot of the time I guess I don't really try, because it's just kind of a thing that I guess comes naturally. But then when it doesn't come naturally, like, I don't think to try and be positive. And I think I might have kind of taken it out a bit on some people. Like, not massively. Like, I've never really, like, lost my temper with anyone or anything like that. But I just felt like there may have been a couple people who I've just kind of maybe just gotten on their nerves a tiny bit. I don't know. If you're listening to this, again, I'm not going to name names. I wish I could, so that I could actually talk to you directly. But if you feel like I'm talking to you, and if the people I'm talking about are hopefully watching this, then I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for I'm sorry for not treating you with enough respect, I guess. I'm sorry for maybe saying some things in a certain way, or maybe just maybe I was purposely trying to annoy you, I guess. Purposely trying to hit a nerve when there wasn't any need to. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I ever came across like I was pushy. I don't think I did, but maybe I might have done. Even if I did, even if you don't feel like I did to you, I'm just sorry if I ever made you feel like I didn't respect you as a person. And I try to be nice to people, and I'm sorry if I wasn't in the past few weeks. I'm sorry. I guess I just wasn't feeling too good about myself. Wasn't feeling too good about what I was doing, and I just kind of, I guess I took it out on a couple people. So I do apologize for that. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. If that is all just gobbledygook to you, and you feel like I'm not talking to you, it's because I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to someone else. So if that's not relevant, then just ignore it. So is it? I don't think there is really anything else I want to talk about today. Is there? I don't know. I don't think I can actually keep going for another half an hour. I don't have enough left to talk about. Hello, Mr. B. So we've seen a duck, we've seen a bee. I got stung. I got poked in the eye. Well, not in the eye, in the eyelid. And I finished my water in the first 15 minutes. Well, no, I didn't. I finished it in the first hour, definitely. no, I don't think there is anything else I want to talk about. That's pretty much it. I guess I could kind of say what I have planned. So, well, no, in fact, I've already talked about it. I've already said what I have planned for the future. I said I'm working on a collab entry now. Then I'm gonna go into the original trilogy parody review video, and then after that, I guess I'm just gonna work on Riptures Races 2. But I need to like rethink the story and flesh it out properly and make sure I do it, I do it justice. I do it to the best of my ability. Again, I'm sorry that you're going to have to wait a while before you can upload your collab entries. I do know how annoying that is. You say it and you think like, oh well, that's not annoying. It's not really a problem. You just have a video that you can't really get out. But when you have a video that you know is finished and you're like, I finished this and I want people to see it, and you just can't let it go yet, then it just is annoying. I don't know how I managed to do it for the 2D cartoon collab entry and keep that Mr. Strong video for so long without ever being tempted to just release it for the hell of it, because I just wanted people to watch it. But yeah, again, collab entries have been massive. What am I trying to say? Collab entries have been really good. Collab entries have been really amazing, honestly. I've forgotten how much I actually really enjoyed doing the collabs. I mean, obviously I'd only done one before this, but I get why it is so much fun doing them. And I know why it's so much fun joining them as well. But they've been really good. Like when I did the first collab, like I was really impressed with the amount of good entries, and I really liked the entries for the Foster's collab. And it introduced me to these YouTube poopers that I didn't really watch before, like Shafrillas Productions and For Stereo Metal and Petition Possum and people like that. And I've really liked some of their other videos that I've watched. And I think this collab is going to do the same. Like I've been looking at like some of my favorite entries that I've received, and I've been going to their channels and seeing what else they've done. And I've found some new favorite YouTube poopers in that list. Oh, fudge. Darn it. Sorry about that. I knocked my microphone over because I stood up, simply because I thought somebody was coming. I thought I heard a voice. Darn it, it's really annoying. Actually, I think that works better with the earphones like that. Oh, the wind's terrible. Yeah, sorry about that big crash there. I thought I heard a voice, and so I stood up to see. There was no one there. It was just my imagination. But the act of me standing up made everything fall over. So, yeah. Wait, it is still recording. Yeah, 2 hours 25 minutes. Okay, I think we'll stop at 2.5 hours. I think that's long enough. Because I do think that's long enough. I think I'm going to go home then. I think I've talked about enough. I've again, I've reflected on the year so far, and it's been a good year. It's been a definitely an eventful year. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Sorry, just move the microphone again. Been a lot of stuff going on, and I'm really happy with what I've done so far, and I'm really looking forward to what I've still got yet to do. And thank you for all the continued support. Like, there's people who've been here for so long, and they still watch loads of videos. You know, again, like some videos don't get that many views. Some videos, to be honest, the way I see it is that if a video manages to get over 1,000 views, then I'd consider that a success. And I don't just mean like in the first couple of days, I just mean ever. Like if a video ever gets over 1,000 views, then I think, okay, that video is a success. If a video never gets to 1,000 views, which a couple of my videos still have yet to get, even though they were uploaded like over a year ago, then I think, okay, that video fell flat. But you know, not that I'm like basing it all on views and stuff. Like the comments and stuff, they make it all worthwhile, and they make me realize like what I was doing wrong. And you know, I do realize a lot of it myself as well. Like for example, like the cam comp, like the first cam comp, even though there was some comments on it and people saying that, you know, they liked it, they liked the style of it, they liked the idea for the video, I still think that video is not very good, and I've been trying to think of ways to better the cam comps, because I do want to do more cam comps. I'm just trying to think of a good way to do it, and I think that the way I've settled on it is that it's going to be kind of like, well, going to be I guess more of a comp, in which there will be all the stuff that I'd filmed in random places, like when we just gone through days out, but then there'll also be some other stuff, some stuff that I may have filmed for a certain video, maybe some outtakes that were never used, like some behind the scenes thing. Maybe I could, in fact, I think I probably was going to do some of the Tuffy behind the scenes thing in another cam comp, but then I just made it in its own video. But definitely, once this original trilogy parody video thing is out, then there's a lot of stuff that I can use when I was putting that together in a cam comp. And there'll also be some stuff that I'll just film specifically for the cam comp. Like I'll just make some short little video just for the sake of it. Like I've already come up with a few ideas. Me and Jen have come up with a couple ideas that we want to do, just for the sake of it, I guess. And I've already come up with some interesting edits. Because like I said before, with like the reason I think the first cam comp failed. I mean, it's subjective, and you might think it was still a good video, but I think the main reason why the first one wasn't very good is that there were edits for the sake of edits, and I don't like that. I hate that. I think that it was pointless. Like, I think I just added sound clips, or I just added little bits of text that didn't need to be there. They didn't add anything. They were just there because I thought, okay, well this clip needs to be edited in some way. And it was stupid. It was stupid doing stuff like that. It didn't add anything. The edits have to mean something. And I think from what I've come up with so far for the cam comp, because I have like planned some of it. Like I do plan a lot of these videos way in advance, and I do little bits here and there. But I've planned a few things for the next cam comp. And I think what I planned so far is already a definite improvement from the first cam comp. I think it just works much better when they're there for a reason. And I do again want to do a kind of a thing where I can combine all these different things, like music and like animation, and even some like YouTube poop style editing, as well as going out and filming stuff. All of this stuff is stuff I love doing, like I've said many times, and I think it just works much better if I can combine them all in one big video. And you know, I do kind of do that in most videos. In fact, you know, some of my more recent YTPs have actually had some elements that I've taken from some of my other videos. For example, like there were a couple instances in the Madagascar YTP where I used clips from some of my vlogs or some of my other videos. So I guess that was a different step forward, and a different step forward. That's a weird way to say it. But then in this collab entry, the one I'm working on now, I've actually filmed something for it. I've actually got my camera out, and I thought I'm going to film this, and then I'm going to kind of implement this into the video. And so that took a while, but I think it looks pretty good. And it's just interesting doing more stuff like that. And again, in this collab entry, I've also done some slight music stuff. I guess they're technically YTP MVs, but I mean, it's sort of like just kind of music. in general. I mean, that's what that M in YTPMV stands for. It's music, so you know it counts towards music. I was thinking as well. I was going to do some more music stuff. There was actually a kind of a full piano video that I wanted to do, just because I kind of said to myself, I want to learn to play this song on a piano, because I think this song will actually be quite nice to listen to on a piano. And so I learnt it all by ear. I just went through and I learnt the entire song, and I thought I'll put this together in a video. And I still haven't gotten around to that. Like, I was going to do that way before I was going to do that ages before the original trilogy parody review video, and that video itself was even going to be out before the Insane Trilogy came out. But now the Insane Trilogy has come out, we've done videos on that. I still haven't got the original parody video out, the original trilogy parody video out, and then after that I'll probably do some more music stuff. I don't know, maybe I could come up with some more music ideas, but again, like, I've got to stop trying to think, okay, what video ideas do I have? I think, did I say it before? I think I did. I said it, that like, it doesn't matter if there's things that are on that document that I keep open that I don't get around to for a really long time. Because all that matters is that I can come up with ideas that and be motivated to do them. It doesn't matter if they're stuff I've had planned for years. It doesn't matter if they're stuff I thought of the day before. It doesn't matter. I mean, for example, like Saxophone. That was a video idea that just sprung into my head. And then as soon as that idea came into my head, I was just completely motivated and I just wanted to work on that. And I did. I worked on that like solidly, flat out, without working on anything else in between. And I just got that video done in a couple days and then uploaded it. And people really loved that, and I still really like that video. So there are certain things like that where video ideas just come to me, and I just think, I just want to do that now. I'm going to take a break from this thing that I've been working on for a while, because I just really want to work on this that I just came up with the idea for there and then. So we've been going just over 2.5 hours now. I think it's about time we stop. Yeah, I think it's about time to stop now. My watch says it's 4 o'clock. By the time I get home, it's probably going to be about 4:30. So, I mean, if I did go for another half an hour, then I'd get home at like 5, and that's a bit late. It's a bit late to get home. I think it's better if I head home now. Get home at least half an hour before 5. Everyone knows where I am then. You know, nobody's. I'm pretty sure Mum's going to be worrying, because she tends to whenever I go out, even though, you know, I'm 20 years old, I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. But you know, she's a worrier. All mums worry when they don't need to. But you know, I should go home now, really. So I guess that's it. I guess we're going to end it there then. So thanks for listening. If you've been here the entire time, then well done. You've managed to suffer through 2.5 hours of me talking. But maybe you got something out of this video. Maybe even if it was just a little insight into me and my ideas for the channel. Maybe it may have even inspired you, I don't know, to do your own thing. Who knows? I don't know what you got out of this video. I think if you got anything out of this video, then I'd consider this video a success. I don't care if this video doesn't get over 1,000 views. If you're happy just to sit here and listen to me talk for a long time, then I'm gonna keep doing these. Not really long ones like these, but I'm gonna keep going with the WCPs. Again, they probably won't be weekly. They might not even be bi-weekly. They'll just come and go when they go. They'll come and go when they go. What am I? I'm saying some really weird phrases today. But yeah, I guess that's it. I guess we'll finish there. So thanks for listening, and have a good day. Have a great day. In fact, have a better day than you were originally planning to have. And I will see you. I don't know when I'll see you. Well, yeah, no, honestly, I don't know when I'll see you. But thanks for listening. I hope you had an interesting time sat here listening to me for 2.5 hours, and if you got anything out of this video, then brilliant. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and goodbye.